What's going on, everyone? Hello, hello, hello. And thank you so much for tuning in for another great, epic episode of Just My Opinion Reviews. We really, really, really do appreciate it, guys. We are back. What are we back for? For Clipped, episode 4, titled Winning Ugly. Not winning pretty, but winning ugly. Behind every great fortune is the opportunity to sell the F out. Kimberly, that's my first time reading the description of this episode, so that kind of trips me out.
Dang. Who wrote that?
I have no idea. I have no idea. Guys, I want to let you know that this is going to be a spoiler-filled recap, okay? Me and my lovely guests are going to spoil this episode up, down, left, right, in, and out, as if you've already seen the episode, okay? So if you don't want to be spoiled, go watch the episode, then come back so you can get all of this spoilery goodness. And like I said, I'm not by myself. I got my homie, my home slice, my home skillet, Miss Kimberly Kern from Southern California. Ma'am, tell the people how you're doing today.
I'm doing great. Great Father's Day this past weekend, and I am loving this show. I'm really liking the show.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess that's safe to say that you really like this episode.
I did. I really did.
Well, but before I pick your brain, I just want to let the people know, guys, if you love what me and Miss Kimberly has to say, you can follow us on social media. Our handles on the screen right there. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all that social media stuff. Link to her information will be in the description box of this video. And like always, hey, here is our channel right here, which we're going to talk more about towards the end of this recording. Make sure you subscribe to her channel. If you're watching this on her channel, please make sure you subscribe to my channel. Okay, subscribe to all the channels. We would really, really, really appreciate it. Now, I don't know if I should go first or you should go first. Should we paper scissors rocket? Should we paper scissors rocket? Is that what you want to do on the count of 3? Okay, 1, 2, 3. That was off.
You won.
I win. So I don't even know if that goes. I go first or not. I guess I should have declared that. I will go first.
Clipped. I got clipped. Oh,
I like it. I like it. I wish I had a lovely sound effect to go with that. Hold on. Oh nope. Wait. Nope, I'm messing it up. There we go. There we go. Okay. Kimberly, this was not a horrible episode, but it was my least favorite, if I had to be honest with you.
Okay.
I felt like it was a bunch of filler, and I kind of want to say necessary filler, but it just didn't win me over because it didn't push the story forward, which is the definition of filler. Some aspects I like, some I didn't, but I was very bored watching this. Sometimes I'm drawn in, my phone can be going off with notifications and I'm ignoring it, like throwing it over there on the other couch or in the bed or whatever. But I found myself always in my phone, having to go back, just not that interested in this episode. And it's interesting because interesting. This episode is interesting. I really like episode 3. I mean, 1 and 2 was great. 1 was great, 2 was better, and then 3 was just like, man, this show is super duper fire. But episode 4 was just a letdown for me. Like I just was really, really bored. And when I can't remember exactly what episode it was. I want to say 2, when we saw Doc Rivers talking to Elgin in the grocery store. I was saying to myself, okay, they're saying who this guy is, but what is the true significance of his character? And he was at the tail end of this episode. He had been the general manager for the team for 20 years. This episode also showcased how big of an a-hole Andy is and always was. I just don't like the guy. He really deserves a punch in the face, and I can't wait for you to talk about that as well. But even the racism that not only Doc Rivers went through, but Elgin. I mean, back in the day when he was playing, averaged more points than LeBron. He couldn't even get a hotel room, and the first boycott in the NBA. Great historical information. And for somebody that's like me, that's always rah, 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 justifiably so, I was just still like, meh, with this episode. Again, it wasn't bad. It didn't suck. it was just my least favorite out of the four. Where are you at on this episode? How are you feeling?
I really liked it, and I get what you're saying, Brandon, about it not moving the story forward. Like, I get that, but honestly, I really felt like before we go any further, I do need to go back because, and I said this before, that with situations that are just bombastic, that are crazy, that are just like, what the heck? We have a tendency to just in our heads kind of make everyone cartoon characters. They're just like characters, and especially when things are crazy. I mean, this girl was out there with a not 90-degree visor and and um and roller skates. So it's easy to make this a cartoon
Mm-hmm.
because you're acting silly. Like when you're silly, it's easy to do that. And so we kind of forget. And then when you have someone that's such an easy villain, Sterling is such an easy villain because there's no question. You were caught on tape. You have a record of this behavior. You have a record of people. You may be rich, but you really don't have the respect of people around you. It's easy to make him the Gargamel
Right.
of the story. And so for me, I really liked this, and I liked the way they rewound things through the lens of the character. Like when it came to they went back to like Omarosa and like rewinding and going back because it reminded me of the era, the time we were in, where I forgot, like back then it was like reality wasn't just getting off the ground, but in terms of us glorifying villains like the Omarosas or the Ninis or the Phaedras or the Kyles, of the housewives and stuff. The idea of people getting super famous for being bad was new because you had people that were getting super famous for being stupid, but not for being disrespectful and mean and always out of pocket. And so it kind of took me through V's mentality of, oh, you think you're one of those people that thinks Omarosa is your hero. You're one of those people that, like she said, like, oh, I'll be on Flavor of Love, like whatever. I liked getting into their head before we go any forward because it's about to get real silly because we haven't even got to some of the historical things around this story. Some of the things that are just, if you YouTube their names, you're like, oh, wow, you're really a silly human being. I needed that. I needed to see, especially Doc, with the 90s. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I forgot. I'm out here in LA. Like, oh,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I grew up in the OC, so I was a little removed. But I remember on the news, like, it was like, if you get on the 5, you don't go past Anaheim. Like, I remember the 90s. Like, if you're in the OC, you only go so far because right now people are burning things down. I needed to see his story. I did not know, Brandon, that he played for the Clippers back in the day. I knew he played basketball. I didn't know he played for the Clippers. I didn't know Doc.
Okay. Yeah.
I didn't know that Doc played for the Clippers. If they referenced that in the episode 1, 2, I missed it because I didn't hear that. And so it was really important for me to be like, oh my gosh, this is not his first run-in with Sterling. This guy's got a 30-year history with Sterling. So when he rolls his eyes, he's rolling it from a deep place. Like, oh, brother, I remember you and your disrespect. And then Elgin, like that gentleman, hearing his story and learning just the history, I needed to see that. I needed to see how V started. I needed to see deeper into the Sterling's marriage because I did have in my mind, Brandon, how long has Mrs. Sterling been dealing with this? Like, what is her track record of her hearing his racist comments or outrageous comments? So for me, yeah, the pace was a bit slower, but I was eating it up because I'm like, oh, so this is who you really are. Like I feel a bit differently about certain characters.
Oh, I'm glad you said that.
Yeah, I do. I feel I have more compassion for some people. I have way less compassion for others.
Right.
I have a deeper respect for Doc, and a definitely Elgin. Like, so I needed this.
Well, let me go back. I don't mean to backpedal.
Yeah,
Again, I respect everything you have to say. You're making very valid points. It was very great information. And it does give us a new reflection of a lot of characters. And like you, I do look at certain characters differently. One being V. Now, I'm not going to jump on the train of Captain Save-A-Ho and just say that she's an innocent little angel and we need to protect her at all costs. No, I'm not saying all that. But her origin story is a bit interesting. I do have a newfound respect for Elgin and Doc. And Shelby and Donald, I didn't respect him at all. I respect him even less now. He just doesn't care. I wasn't even going to start here, but he was the last thing that came out of my mouth. Just some of the conversations that he was having in front of your wife. It's like even if y'all have an open relationship, to me, there's still some type of decorum and respect that you have to give.
Thank you. You took the words right out of my mouth, Brandon.
I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like when they're talking to a lawyer and he's talking about, and she didn't care and she just started sucking me off. I'm like, your wife is right there. Whether you're serious or you're joking, even if she allows you to do that. Hey, Donald, I know that, these little boppers here are everywhere popping up their heads. I'm not going to trip. That was just disgusting to me.
He didn't even like touch her hand and be like, sorry, hun, but I got to be honest. Like he showed no remorse for her feelings whatsoever. It was just par for the course in this relationship. Yeah. And you took the words right out of it. I 100% agree with you. Even if you're open, don't rub it in her face or don't humiliate her in front of a lawyer. Because even if you have an open relationship, what disrespect you showed. You're talking to there's another person in the room. You just humiliated your wife. But
she took it. It was I mean, he didn't care. And what I'm torn at is like he's doing, the actor Ed O'Neill is doing such a great job.
Isn't he?
I'm just like, oh, dude. Like, I think I don't know. Maybe you told me this. It was probably you because I haven't talked to anybody about the show. I don't know where I heard it, or maybe I'm making it up. That he was a bit skeptical on taking this role in the first place.
I didn't know that.
Possibly because who Donald Sterling is, and especially after seeing this episode, I don't blame the guy. Because some people in the world, they cannot separate the actor from the role they're playing from the entertainment. We have these jokes in our own community. It's like Colin Powell, not Colin Powell, Clifton Powell.
Oh,
Clifton Powell's a black actor, right? I got the name correct, right? Clifton
yes.
Powell.
He was on Amen, I think.
Yeah, there's about 4 or 5. Michael Ealy. I can go down the list of like they played that in one role where they're just crazy, psychotic, and it just travels with them for the rest of the days. And so Ed O'Neill, he's doing such a great job with this. But he did that in front of the lawyer, and that was ridiculous. Let me ask you this, Beverly, the friend. We saw her going. Her name is Beverly, correct? Am I tripping? I'm sorry, guys. Brandon, do your homework. You're not paying attention. I'm trying to look it up.
Justine.
I don't know where I got Beverly from. Justine, you're right. Justine. How do you feel? Because last episode we was like, hey man, she's a down-ass friend. She threw the slippers on the table. When Rochelle left, she left. She's talking crap to Donald too. They're in the bed and all of this, and hey, we're gonna get mimosas and margaritas or whatever. However, in this episode, I'm kind of on the fence. Do you think she's still a friend, or is it leaning more towards misery loves company because she was going through a divorce or with her husband, and it seemed like she was trying to get Shelly to do the same thing, like really encouraging her to do so. Am I tripping? Am I looking at that the wrong way, or are you? Am I making sense?
I see what you're saying. It's almost that like I see what you're saying, because you see that sometimes where someone gets a divorce and then someone's husband doesn't take out the trash and they're like, girl, you need to leave him. Let me tell you what's next. Today is the trash, the next day is you. Why don't you get a head on and just leave him now? Like, I get it, but I don't necessarily agree. I think her husband's, he was an ass then.
Yeah.
So she's like, look, my husband was a jerk and I feel so free. Look at your husband. He's, and the saddest thing is she watched the deposition with her where the lady said my mother was blind and she was throwing away her waste in trash bags because you guys wouldn't fix her toilet. Like, after hearing that, I would be like, girl, you need to leave him. Like, of course. So I don't think that's the case, because it's not like Ronald Donald. It's not like Mr. Sterling was a stand-up guy and she was like, you should just leave him. If it was the 1700s, he would be the worst of the slave masters. He would be the ones that are just raping people, like, just because it's Tuesday, beating people, shooting someone in the head today, because he would be a straight up murderer. Like, I honestly believe that. Like, he's just the scum. He's scummy, man. Ooh, you need the Lord. He is scummy. So I don't think that. I think she's codependent. She's one of those friends who's I've seen it, out here. It's codependent, we've all seen it, but no, I mean, I think she was right to help her to leave. And I actually felt good when Miss Sterling was like, and wash my sheets too, get his smell out of here. He was disgusting. Ew, you got things popping on my pillows and you ain't got no shirt on. Oh, you walrus.
He also was like, are you talking about splitting up? Like, how
bro.
You wouldn't have half of what you got, bro. And even going back to the way he was disrespecting her, not that this is an excuse, like she just didn't do anything and he picked her up off the curb and just carried her throughout her life. She helped him a lot, or that's how I'm receiving their relationship. Like, she was she is just as a pillar to your guys's I'm short for words. Hopefully you know what I'm trying to say, but
I mean, the partnership, partnership, it wasn't just so much a gold digger. I mean, she was really in the trenches with him and had a say, and God knows, if it was like that typical relationship where when they got started, he was broke and she was his secretary. Come on, Waiting to Excel. Like who knows what she did to help his career move further along. So theirs was a real partnership marriage, not just, oh, I'm baking cookies and my husband's just out doing stuff. It's like, no, I'm going to the meeting too. So I definitely don't believe he's the kind of man that would be where he was without her.
Exactly.
It's one of those situations, I believe, because he's a ding dong, so God knows he needed help.
Right on. Now, let's talk about V for a second. Look at here. She has her food truck, trying to pay the bills on her mother's credit card and get discovered. And that's where she meets up with her friend, that Miss Deja, that has a little bit more experience in the world that she is trying to come up in. I would assume, and correct me if I'm wrong, this is the character possibly that you look at in a different light after seeing this episode, because in present day, if she fell down the stairs and sprung her ankle, you probably laugh. I'm not going to say anything crazy like, break her neck or anything, but you probably laugh if she sprung her ankle or something like that.
Fell off of her roller skates whilst wearing a dark visor, maybe.
Right. Yeah. You'd be like, ha. You probably wouldn't rush to help her up, or maybe you would. I don't know. You can let me know in the comments.
I'd be like, girl, you need wisdom.
That's hilarious. But I was very surprised by her origin story here. Especially when they got to the sanctuary party. That was very, very interesting. And she flipped the script on me too, because in some ways I feel that she didn't know what she was getting into, but in other ways I feel that she did, because when she got there in the kitchen, maybe she just wasn't ready to just spread her legs immediately on the island for Mr. Toothless. But she did flip it on him, just like, you know what? Because Deja was like, girl, if you're not feeling it, that's fine. Just have fun. This is the perfect place to get a sugar daddy. She was like, well, I don't need a sugar daddy. And she was like, well, you are boosting, jackets from Old Navy, so maybe. But I don't know what happened. Maybe a light bulb went off in her head, and she was like, "This is an opportunity for me to take advantage of," because she started, pimping Mr. Toothless guy. Just saying, it seems like you just need somebody to have under your wing and hang out with. That's not going to judge you and make fun of you for your lack of sexual prowess and etc. And she ended up getting a phone number and her own ride home at 7 a.m. besides a party bus. And so that's kind of interesting there. I did laugh my ass off, when she was like, "Yeah, I'm good. I have diarrhea." That is
so elegant.
Yeah,
what a lady.
Great way to turn somebody away. But in this world, there are some people that are into that, and it seems like he turns on. But I want to hear your commentary on this, because I'm still in the fence. How do you feel about Miss V and her the way that she finessed her way in and out of this sanctuary party towards the beginning of the episode?
I felt for her because I saw a girl that lacked support and direction, and that makes me sad. It didn't look like they didn't tell the whole story of her life, but it didn't look like she had a support system. Like she said, my mother only speaks Spanish, I think it was. Her mother didn't speak English or something like that. And she was, had to do things and she was trying to make it, food truck is a pretty honest job. She wasn't out here. She didn't start off, hoeing and gold digging. And I think I see in her what I've seen in a lot of girls that are lost and don't have support. And it made me sad. I've done like some mentorship in my life, like mentoring girls and trying to be there when you see I see her mentality. I've seen it before. And it's sad because sometimes girls like that either end up getting trafficked or they end up really deeply in a situation of no self-worth. And it made me sad because I'm like, that's really like having your own food truck. Like, yeah, that's hard, but hey, that's yours. That's yours.
Right.
And I think there's a lot of pride in that. But I think some people, the struggle is just so exhausting that you see an easy way out. And sometimes you just want to take it. She reminded me of a lot of the girls I've seen through mentoring where you really hope they catch on and grab hold of the community that's available to them. And you may not have a great mom and dad, but maybe you have mentors, maybe you have a church leader, maybe you have a neighbor, just someone in your life that's saying, hey, respect yourself. Like she walked in there and she's like, I'm not about this orgy life. Like, you just gonna stick your finger all up in my lady business? Like, right, what? Right. Like, she was not about that. She was just talking to people, like, oh, you're an optometrist. Like, she wasn't like trying to get money from them. She was just talking to people at a party. I felt for her when she showed up with the mask, looking like the Trix Bunny. Girl, come to Party City. Like, I felt for her because that's so I think everywhere in the world, Brandon, but out here in LA, that's so typical. I hung out with this girl one time. She pissed me off because I think it was my birthday. And we went to a restaurant and it was like one of the Vanderpump restaurant, Lisa Vanderpump, that Vanderpump Rules. I didn't even know where we were going, but she like saw some people from the show and I was hungry and tired. I was like, I just want to eat. And she's like, I just saw it by the bathrooms, so-and-so and so-and-so from the show. Like, let's go by them and just like start talking and see if they'll take a picture. And I was like, girl, I'm hungry and I'm tired. Like, I'm not a star chaser. But I've been around those girls before, and it makes me sad because I don't want to insult anyone that may be on that journey, but you're worth so much more than that. Like, if it's hard, keep going, keep digging in, like, don't give up. Like, but for me, I just had a lot of sympathy for her because she just seemed very lost, and unfortunately she ran into Superho. That was like, I mean, if you're not into it, but if you're into it, like, whatever. Like, I feel so sad that that's the person you ran into instead of a Michelle Obama. You got a Omarosa in your life, and that's sad to me. It made me sad, and it also gave me some insight into her delusional behavior. Like, when she was on the lawn in that visor at night with the turtle, I was like, and what? I'm sorry, pick one crazy thing. I can't do all three. Like, I was like, I get it now, the delusion, Yeah.
I see what you're saying. And I agree with you to a point, because, she didn't know what she was getting into. I've heard stories, there's different levels of parties and things of that nature. And when you go to establish
that was a party. What the hell was that?
They have all types of drugs just in the alcohol. Like, the guy that was going around with the champagne, you have to assume that there's ecstasy and all types of stuff already in there. And you take a sip, and 5 minutes later, somebody's bending you over on the balcony over here, and 10 minutes into it, you don't. Oh, I'm literally having sex right now. I'm not trying to be, crude. I'm being honest.
Dude, that's LA. That's LA.
Yeah,
that's a very LA. That happens.
It does. It happens often.
Yeah.
I've heard a number of things. Like, just the most. I don't really put anything past anybody, but at the same time, I just know that there have just been women just go to a party and just innocent, just have a drink, and then next thing you know, they're tripping balls. And so I was just thinking about that. But she, like you said, she didn't know. She had the crazy mask on. They look over. The couple was in Scottsdale. Look over. They're having sex. Dude tries to touch her. She goes to the kitchen. The guy comes in there that owns the home. He's trying to put his beat in. He's like trying to feed her a Pepto-Bismol. Like, I honestly think he was turned on by the diarrhea comment. I'm not joking. But I felt sorry for her up until that point, because I was like, oh, wait a minute, you are trying to, well, you can let me know. I was like, you are trying to finesse the situation. You are trying to get a come up. But at the same time, I do know that women, when they are in uncomfortable situations and they feel like they're in danger, they will, you will give your phone number to somebody just out of there, whether it's a real number or a fake number. Like, I don't want to get cussed out in this grocery store parking lot. I don't want him to cuss me out. You stupid bitch, yada, yada, yada. You get what I'm saying? So on one hand, I'm thinking that she was trying to finesse. On another hand, I'm thinking, well, maybe she just is like, I am in Neverland here. I need to not piss anybody off. I already went over here and cut on the lights and ruin this orgy. And that, I was like, just cut the lights back off, And so I'm back and forth on that. But it was interesting. I'm glad that she got out of there okay. But yeah, it was I'm on the fence. I look at her a different light, but it was interesting. I don't know. I still don't like her, but I'm on the fence still if I should just give her
it's that point where you reach a choice. Like, when she grabbed the knife, I was like, and what the heck are we doing today? What? Yeah. Why the knife? But then it's like you face you face that moment where you could have the courage to walk out, or you're like, let me see what this is about. Like, that's what roads to life. That's what's so interesting about all these roads to life. And that's why they say, like, all the corny old saying you heard in junior high, like, be careful, you start acting like who you hang around. Be careful who your friends are. And that sounds so corny because it's like, I can take care of myself, mom. Right. But it's like, no, really, like, because this girl introduced you to this world, like, you didn't even know what a party bus was, like, and here you are, like, and people are doing it, and the demons, that's a demonic atmosphere, and if you're not strong, you'll fall. And that's what makes me sad, because that's such a LA. I can't tell you how many girls I've talked to on set, just like in between, like on commercials or stuff, like girls just like, oh my God, I went to this party and I'm just so ashamed, like, of how I behave. I've talked to girls. I've literally had conversations where I've heard them say, I'm so ashamed of how I behave. Like, that's just not me. Like, I ended up hooking up with like a girl and a guy, and I just, that just wasn't me. Like, these situations they'll make you, I won't say they'll make you, but they put people in situations where they behave outside of who they are. And
Right.
some people keep going with it if you're
You're
not
right.
strong.
You're right. You're absolutely right. You gotta be
Sad.
careful for the company you keep, and so kids, if you're watching this,
Which you shouldn't be.
they can lead you down astray. Lawrence Gillett Jr., he has been in Hollywood forever.
Bro,
And
when I saw him, I was like, brother, I remember seeing him. I feel like I've seen him on like Family
everything.
Matters. I feel like I've seen him. He's that dude. He's my dude from Walking Dead, like the
Yeah.
alcoholic that caused him to fall through the ceiling. Like, that's
Mhm.
my dude. Like, he's one of those people where you're really happy to see them when they pop up, because
Yeah.
you're so glad they're still around. I've been watching this guy since the 90s. I was so happy to see that brother right there.
Yeah. He was everywhere. And but I do disagree with his position, on race. Daddy, they
Oh,
call me
man.
a nigga. Well, show them what type of nigga you are. It's just like, oh, dad. And I kind of want to understand, because of the times that he, grew up in. And don't get mad at me, my older generation, the boomers. But the boomers have a certain mindset. But I understand. I do understand, but I don't understand. And I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. But I'll just say that, and he's not even a boomer, he's before that. You know,
Yeah.
yeah, he's before that. Doc is a boomer now. So
Yes. But
so you know it was frustrating, Kimberly. He's like, I am proud of the life that you've built here. I don't want to go as far as saying that you're living a life that you wanted through your son, but at the same time, this is why now we always have to look back, and we have to know our history and know where we come from, and not condemn the past, but just learn from it, and so we don't continue to make the same mistakes socially and
yeah.
politically and economically, because his dad really just frustrated me. And I mean, he would not connect with his son. His son is frustrated and angry, justifiably so. And he just like, oh, stop crying, stop whining. Like, what do you mean? It was frustrating. Kimberly, where are you at on that?
You know, it's one of those things where it's one of those things where you have millions of people who have we share such a similar walk. However, the differences are differences. Like his dad, I'm sure, was called the N-word, and he's feeling like people call him the N-word, but people's reactions can be different. Some people are like, you shuck and jive to survive. Some people are like, I'd rather let you shoot me in the head before I bow down to you. Like Oprah Winfrey's character, in Color Purple. Miss C, like, don't do it, and she's like, no, I'm gonna hit this white man. You know what I'm saying? Like, certain people will acquiesce and certain people will continue to fight. And so his dad comes from, like, the 92 riots were horrible, but I'm sure for his dad, I don't know where that man grew up. I know Doc is from Chicago. I don't know if that man grew up in Chicago, but I'm sure his eyes had seen, like, y'all are breaking into stuff and setting stuff on fire. Man, I've seen people shot in the face and dragged through the street. Like, I'm sure his dad has seen way worse. So the LA riots were like, and?
All right.
Like,
Right.
okay. But his attitude may be like, it's not even like, oh, we made it, we're doing okay. Your son's a millionaire. Like, and he's, like, money, I don't think money changes people. Money brings out who you always were. And for his dad, he's like, that psyche, that idea of you're comfortable. Just enjoy it, because maybe his dad knows how bad it can get. And maybe it's so bad you don't ever want to go back. Like we see it now. We see people, some people call them sellout or whatever, but it frustrated me that it was like I'm in a position where kids look up to me. I'm on TV. I'm on ads. He was like, call Bob Costa. Like you can call him up. You're on that level. You're on the level, man. You can call up Bob Costa. You can call up Brian Gumbel and be like, I got something to say. I want to say something. And he was so passionate and looked to his dad, and his dad was like, you make white people comfortable, so just go with it, man. Don't mess up what you have.
Right.
Look at this. So I don't know. Yeah, that frustrated me too.
I don't mean to like point my finger, because the man is older than me. I don't know what he's been through. This is based on true events. They're not fake people.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to sit here and be like, I'm a know-it-all and all this, but you make a good point. He is comfortable. He doesn't want to rock the boat. But we got to look back and know that, okay, this type of mindset will not move us forward now and or in the future. It will keep us in the same place. We cannot just accept crumbs. The life that his son is living now, or at that time, was impossible to think of when his father was was his age. And so I kind of, it's like we both said, it's frustrating, but at the same time, I kind of understand where he comes from.
And don't forget, Brandon, like I know as Black people, we feel like we have so much on our shoulders that we need to fight for. But don't forget, like on some level, people are just people.
Mm-hmm.
So I look at like some people in the NFL now, I'm not going to name names, but you look at their family and how they behave at games. And I'm like, that's so embarrassing. Or I'm thinking of an NBA person right now, but like your family, like you're so blessed. And look at you throwing ice at fans, you acting ignorant. Like some people, Brandon, no matter what color they are, crappy people come in all shapes, sizes, and colors. And I think that's something we got to remember is not all skin folk is kinfolk. Not just because we go through the same life experiences doesn't mean everyone's going to fight the same or care. Some people just, they're like, my baby's in the NBA. Somebody get me some money. I'm not trying to talk about social issues. I'm trying to go to Dolce and Gabbana. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like those people are Black, white, they're Asian, they're everything. Selfish, greedy people come in all shapes, sizes, and colors. And I think that's something important to remember. It's because this is why I like this episode, because Brandon, this takes me back to that conversation they had in the ballroom where the guy was like, oh, so you Martin Luther King now? Like, so now I'm supposed to be a civil rights leader? Like, I'm talking to my lawyers about them threatening me, like, if you don't show up, you're going to get sued and this and that. Not everybody is called to be the person that steps up. But I like this episode because when Doc is on that plane, and I realized that he's been through this before, except he didn't speak up. Like that gentleman, I keep forgetting his name. He said he asked him, like, are the riots going to interrupt the playoffs? And that guy called him out, was like, playoffs? You need to be thinking about this verdict of Rodney King. What the hell are you talking to me about playoffs, boy?
Yeah.
This is a time in history to stand up.
Yeah.
And you're talking to me about playoffs. So now that Doc is in this place where his guys are facing it, it was important for me to see how this played out for him 20, 30 years before.
Right on. You're right. It was also like how the very beginning of the episode, how white people were treating Doc. Hey, well, you go ahead. I bet he was surprised to hear that. Another reason why I just cannot, I can only marry a Black woman is because I need somebody to understand and see the world as I do. Like life is hard enough. I don't want to be arguing with my wife because she doesn't completely understand the position I'm in, because at the beginning they were arguing and
they were, but I again, all types of people come in all shapes, sizes, and colors. So she could be ride or die. Like, let me take my blonde hair out there with a poster and protest with you, babe. Like,
True.
Those women exist.
They do.
So it's not that those women don't exist.
Well, okay,
And
they
I
do.
don't
They
they
do.
do. And I don't think that she was pregnant with two small kids. She was like, "Where were you? Are you safe?" She wasn't like, "Where's my check? When can I go shopping?" She was pregnant and she was like, "I've been worried about you. Where were you?" And she did care. He was just I don't think that's what that was
Okay,
at
okay.
all.
Good
I
point.
don't think that's what that was.
Good
I
point.
think
No,
it's
you're right. You're right.
you're a black man in a Porsche. I'm pregnant with two kids. I'm fine, but I'm scared for you. Like they beat that man and nothing happened, and now they're setting the city on fire.
You're right.
Where's my husband? So I don't think it's that because anybody can ride or I mean you have your feeling, but I think anyone can ride or die for anybody.
You're right. You're right. I was thinking
You
of
know.
that movie, Something New with Sanaa Lathan.
Oh
And
yeah.
but yeah,
And they were talking about understanding the black
yeah,
tax and
you make a good point. You make a good point. You're right. You're right. I'm wrong. Shout out
if
to El.
anything, I'm mad at his dad.
Oh, definitely, definitely. That goes without saying.
Like,
That goes
boo.
without saying. But shout out to Elgin. I'm like that he didn't bow down to Andy. He
Oh
sued.
my God.
I liked all of that. I felt his pain. The conversation that he had with Doc in the grocery store in episode I think 2 makes a little bit more sense now because
Yes.
he been holding that a chip on his shoulder for a minute, and I don't blame
Mhm.
him. And so he's just kind of like, are we gonna go through this? Like the conversation in the grocery store is just like, are we gonna let this pepper? You know, I can't even say the word. We're going to let this continue, man. We've been going through this for the longest, and enough is enough. And so now we kind of see why he feels that way, because he's tried to sue, not Donald Sterling, but David Stern, the commissioner. I sued the NBA and
The
lost.
doggone NBA.
Yeah, and so shout out to him, man. I that was I like that little history lesson they gave us. He's dribbling the
Sure
ball to
did.
the court and all that, and so I know
And
we talked about that earlier. Go ahead.
oh no, I was saying from a basketball point of view, like, cause like I don't know much like that. Like I said, I like learning the behind the scenes and the idea of like a general manager, like how he I didn't know. I learned about the business of basketball, what a general manager does, and how he made the comment of there are so many people I have wanted to trade to this team to make it better, and Donald Sterling wouldn't sign off.
Yeah.
And so I didn't really understand that about in terms of the general manager versus the responsibilities of an owner and what a general manager can do and how someone can stop him. And he's like, look, everyone's saying I suck, but nobody knows that I have if people knew who I wanted to trade, who I wanted to bring to this team, the deals I wanted to make, the offers I wanted to make to keep people on the team, they wouldn't think I'm so horrible. They don't know that Donald's the one that has been screwing me over. So I thought that was interesting because I didn't quite understand the politics until I saw that.
Yeah. And Andy was like, "Well, you the poster boy for this. You've been in the league all your life." And the whole thing talking about the accomplishments as well between he shut Andy down, but then he was like, why didn't you leave? And he was like, the stain that I had on me, where could I go? I was trapped. We've been sucking from the beginning because you didn't want to listen to my suggestions. Nobody would want me because they're like, well, you suck with the Clippers, So that was I like Elgin, so shout out to him. Another thing that I did like about this episode was the editing. How they showed each character, and then they did I think he spoke on it earlier. It goes in reverse, and we get a little bit of their backstory. But it was a good episode, just not my favorite. It was my least favorite. What are your final thoughts?
Final thoughts. Real quick on Shelly, like super quick. It pisses me off that she had the strength at one time to kick him out, and she took a pig like that back. And she was so weak. Like you were literally affecting people's lives by being horrible landlords, and you had an opportunity, and she just pissed me off. And then at the end of it, seeing her wake up, Doc, like we're here. I was like, ooh, if you don't get your hands off of me. I really like this episode. I get your point about it being slow, but I feel like now when we move forward to some more ridiculousness, because remember, like the ish is just now hitting the fan.
Mhm.
Now I have a deeper perspective of the
Everybody.
delusion and the frustration and the why people are doing things, and how the weight of the world really was on Doc's shoulders, because he was like, this is 1992 part 2. You know, in his mind, maybe he had a plan where he's like, I'm going to tell all my players not to show up. I'm not going to show up. Like, but he's able to see it from different eyes, from a different generation. And so I like that this show is going deeper than the scandal and showing us the humanity and the psychology behind being in a position of, what are you really going to do when it hits the fan, and why would you do it, and why wouldn't you do it, and would I disagree or agree? This show brings up a lot of interesting questions, Brandon.
I can't wait to talk to you about episode 5, man. I haven't
Well, I
seen it.
haven't seen it.
But you get me excited for the future. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that is going to be our recap review reaction for Clipped episode 4, titled Winning Ugly. Hopefully you enjoyed the episode. Hopefully you enjoyed our commentary. Whether you did or didn't, let us know down in that comment section. Give us a subscription, thumbs up, comment, all that good stuff. We will both really, really, really appreciate it. Before Oh, I'm so sorry. Excuse me. I'm so sorry. Before we head out of here, guys, it's Kimberly. Let the good people know what you got going on your channel for them to look forward to.
Yeah, guys, working on a podcast coming this fall. I want to talk to people who have had their lives changed by film, whether it was a film inspired you to lose weight, a film inspired you to take boxing, a film inspired you saw Karate Kid, and now you've been in martial arts for 10 years and you faced your bullies. Like, I just want to talk to everyday people about how films have changed our life. So if that's you, if you have a story, a connection, please reach out. I'd love to talk to you, and that is coming this fall. Until then, I'll be posting me and Brandon's reviews on my channel as well. So make sure to like and follow us both. Share the videos. Just share the videos, share on social media, and just thank you guys for your support, and thank you for the conversation, and being able to really talk about these shows and engage. So thanks so much, you guys, for your support.
Right on. And guys, you see this right here, A Quiet Place Day 1. This is going to be one of the next reviews that I have coming up on my channel. So if you're interested in that movie, you want to hear my take, my opinion, please subscribe to the channel as well. The next time you see me on here as well, I'll be going live on Thursdays for Super Duper, where we talk nothing but superhero and comic book news. And also Sundays is the Movie News Roundup show, where we talk about nothing but movie and television news and stuff like that. So if you're into that type of thing, go ahead and give me a subscription. Movie reviews, spoiler movie reviews, series reviews, those 2 shows, like I just said. And also, just various shows that are streaming right now that I cover. Also some trailer reactions, fresh out of the theater reactions, and interviews here and there as well. I just got done talking to, who did I talk to? Method Man and Michael Rainey Jr. From Power. I did talk to them, and so if you're into Power, I'm covering that on my channel as well.
Awesome. That's so great, Brandon.
All that good stuff. But guys, before we head out of here, don't forget that I'm B. Avery. That's Kimberly, and that's just our opinion. Peace out, and we'll see you next time.
Game over!